All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 118 of the Hideout. We are here for another great panel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nick Frontera. I am one of the founders and the CEO of Apollo Entertainment, the company behind the Satoshiverse and the Legion's 2029 game. Gosh, we've been running the Hideout now for about 2 years. Every week, we talk to incredible founders and project leaders and community managers in the space, telling us about all the great things we're building. This week, we're going to be going back to our roots a little bit as we have a panel loaded with gaming speakers and people building in the Web3 gaming space. So I'm definitely excited to dive in. I know we get into a lot of topics on the spaces, but gaming is near and dear to our hearts, and we are definitely always excited to talk about gaming. So what we will do is we will start with some introductions. I'm just finishing getting our speakers up here. So bear with me for 1 second. Just we have a stacked panel today, so just trying to get everybody up here. All right, looks like I've got most of them, and we can start with, why don't we start with Wild Forest, since I see you guys unmuted. Welcome to the spaces.
Hello. Thanks for the invitation.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Tell us about Wild Forest. Tell us about yourself, what you guys are building. I guess one thing, if you have anything visual, especially with this having so many games up here, show us, feel free to pin it to the top of the spaces. Show us what you are building and let us know.
Okay, I will try to pin something, but first I will just introduce myself and White Forest first. So I'm the Guillotine. I'm the community manager of White Forest. White Forest is a Web3 game, RTS game, so real-time strategy game, running on Ronan Network for more than 1 year now. We're building the project for more than 1 year, but we joined Ronan Network at the beginning of 2024. So RTS game, 1 versus 1, PvP mainly, running on mobile and computer. And you just have to destroy your opponent to win the game.
I love it. Well, I am a big fan, have seen the Twitter posts and definitely excited about what you guys are building. So definitely try to pin something up there if you can. Now let's jump over to Orbeez Breath. Welcome to the space.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thanks for having me today. It's really great to be with you all. And I feel a bit small, with all those big accounts and big names, but we'll try to be at for the meeting. So I'm Rayos, CEO and one of the founders behind Hobby's Breath. So about the Hobby's Breath, we are creating a fresh take on competitive gaming. By the way, launching on April 30th, so next week. And I would love to share what makes Hobby's Breath truly unique. So Hobby's Breath is a strategy-driven tournament-based card game that we built on Solana. And our philosophy is simple, be skilled to earn. So unlike typical play-to-earn games, you won't earn by grinding daily quests, for example. Instead, your skills will directly determine your rewards through tournaments. And we will host our first tournament at the beginning of June. And the idea is to make sure that the cash prize pool will scale with the number of players. But what makes Hobby's Breath truly stand out from my perspective is our gameplay depth. Our game designer spent countless years, and trust me, it's been a long time, studying and building games. He has designed a pretty unique gameplay, and he made sure that it was easy to pick up, yet complex enough to reward deep strategy thinking. So that's it about the Hobby's Breath, and I'm really excited to dive deeper into today's topic. And thanks very much to Satoshiverse for inviting me today.
Yeah, amazing to have you on.
Yeah, thank you very much. And by the way, we've prepared a giveaway for one lucky attendee. So it's a $5 worth resource package that you can claim by just raising a ticket in our Discord server. So feel free to do it.
Amazing. Well, thanks for that. That sounds great. And definitely excited about the applications of Web3 in skill-based gaming. I think it's one of the places where, we can really close some gaps that currently exist. So we'll definitely dive into that a little bit deeper during the spaces. Why don't we jump over to Genome? Welcome to the spaces.
GM, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, loud and clear.
Nice. Yeah, so happy to join. Appreciate the invitation. I'm Jaden, representing here as a head of BD from Genome. We're an omni-chain revenue toolkit, so we help games boost revenue for their games and users, as developers and the viewers as well. We're an all-in-one platform. We focus on omni-chain tournaments, we do viewer predictions and questing as well. So games are able to connect with us and users can hop on, play tournaments, win rewards, and especially participate from any blockchain. So imagine being built on scale. You can have users join in from BNB, from Solana, opens up a whole entire viewer predictions module as well. We have our own interoperable layer 2, which facilitates for this. We just launched very recently, about 3 months ago. So currently live on testnet, doing very well, looking to lead to mainnet the next month or so. So looking forward to that.
Amazing. Sounds great. And I think it's so important to be building games, but it's even more important sometimes to be building all the tooling and content around them, especially in the Web3 space. And I know we're gonna jump in starting talking about infrastructure and tooling. So really cool what you guys are doing, and excited to have you on and your perspective on the space. Let's jump over to our last guest, Slot.win. Welcome to the space.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. Actually, hey everybody else, glad to be here. So I'm Sergio, I'm a co-founder of Slot.win, and let's jump into it. So in Slot.win, we've built a full ecosystem around like social GambleFi. We are currently on the Bearer chain. We are Bearer native in some kind of, and right now we have developed like 5 custom game modes with a custom platform for gambling that we built from scratch. That's what we're doing for the last 6 months, and it's actually our next phase. We currently had and still have a live mini app, Slotcoin, which has been around for like 10 months with a 1.5 million users in total. It's a simple way for people to like onboard to the gambling with a simple 3-reel slot, like just from emoji, and a way to farm slot, earn meme coins and so on. So yeah, and we're having an official release of Slot.win in the later this month. So next week, I guess, in the Monday. And we are actually having NFT collection with machines. It's a free mint, 1,000 NFTs with launch on Magic Eden, with some cool utility for the players to like incentivize the gambling process, basically. And yeah, in short, we're combining the best parts of Web2 UX in the gambling with the incentives of Web3, and that's it.
I love it. Well, gambling, is all since the beginning of crypto, gambling has been a use case for cryptocurrency. So it's really cool to see, some of the extensions of this and really starting to see a lot of development in kind of these chance-based games, which are, obviously a massive tool for onboarding. As you said, it's one of those things that can be hyper casual or a little more complex, but people love to gamble all over the world. So definitely excited to hear more. I guess last, for those, I do see a lot of new faces in the crowd. So for those of you who don't know about Satoshiverse, and what we've been building with Legions 2029, we started in 2020 as a comic collaboration with the infamous Jose Delbo, who was a DC and Marvel comic artist for about 60 years before becoming one of the more popular crypto artists in the space. We worked together to create a superhero called Satoshi the Creator, and we built an entire lore talking about Satoshi as this hero of our universe who, comes back from hiding to lead a rebellion. Our Legions 2029 game is the furtherance of that lore, where you get to be a legionnaire inside of the game fighting against the Defenders of Fiat. It's a PC game. It's a high fidelity game. We worked for about 2.5 years, still working on it, with about a 25-person team. It's currently available to all in alpha and is free to play. I posted our most recent season 2 announcement at the top of the spaces. That's really got all the information you need. We've got tons of prizes, tons of NFTs that you can win, and it's all totally free. So if you have a gaming PC and you're into third-person hack and slash games, which is what this is, with kind of a RPG element, we like to say it's, inspired by games like God of War, but then kind of with a Diablo progression system kind of built in. Check it out. We're always excited to, welcome new users into the community, and yeah, very excited. So with that, I will pass it over to Spencer, who just recently returned from the dentist. So I'm excited to hear how he sounds on the spaces. But go ahead, Spencer. Take it away.
What's going on, everyone? Thankfully, my mouth.
Well, your voice sounds fine, but I can't hear you. You're cutting out. Are you maybe mic issues, or maybe it's me? Can everyone else hear Spencer?
No, I can hear him as well.
Okay, yeah, Spencer, I think you cut out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I had a phone call come in that just interrupted that. But yeah, anyway, my mouth is a little less numb, so I think I don't sound as crazy as I did earlier. But anyway, excited to be here with all of you right now. So yeah, I'm going to be asking the questions on the space today. Before we get into some of the housekeeping items, we as well have a giveaway that we're going to be doing this week, the same giveaway that we do every week, for 5 Satoshi's crystals, which is one of the really, really important in-game resources within the Satoshiverse. You need it to upgrade all of your in-game assets, like your skins and your avatars. So something you definitely want to have in order to win that. All you have to do is stick around until the end of the space when we choose a winner. So if you're here now listening, stick around with us and you'll have a chance. And then same thing as well, Orbeez Breath, they'll be doing their giveaway as well. So stick around to the end of the space to be able to win their $5 prize as well. So getting into the format of the space. So we'll start out with a group discussion question for everyone. I'll call on someone to start, and then feel free to just jump into discussion from there. No need to raise hands or anything like that. Then we'll move into some individual questions for each of you guys. And then at the end, if we still have some time, we'll do another group question. So I think that takes us through most of the housekeeping items. So I think the first question will start out. Let's go to the guillotine at Wild Forest. So what infrastructural bottlenecks, things like wallets, onboarding, payment rails, still need to be solved before Web3 can truly scale?
Well, that's a really large question. I would say, in my opinion, if we want to bring way more Web2 players, especially in gaming, we will have to find a way that all the registration is going smoothly. I know more and more tools are coming for like abstraction, account abstraction for players. The main thing is like we have tons of blockchain at the moment. I'm not sure it's good stuff for players because when they hear about a new game, usually you have to check which blockchain it is. So you need to maybe some of the time maybe need a specific wallet for it. And then maybe you have to go on a specific marketplace to buy maybe your first NFTs. So I would say if we want to bring really a large number of players, they need to register in 1 or 2 steps, maybe stay inside the game to do all the actions. Everything they earn, everything they buy, maybe stay in the game. link directly to the wallet, so it both in-game and inside the wallet. And the less you talk about blockchain, I think the more players you will have. It's something you can see, like I'm from France, maybe you can hear with my accent. And I'm following a lot of streamers, streamers on Twitch. And most of them, and even the people watching those streamers, every time you talk about NFTs, every time you talk about blockchain, even for a good game, you directly have a super bad opinion about it. And I think at some point it will be a bit like internet in 2000. You were talking a lot about technology and not really talking about the product itself. At some point you have to talk about the game, tell to player that they can jump directly with just a registration, and get something directly with credit card if they want to buy few units. Everything inside the game. As soon as you go outside and you have to go on the website, on the specific marketplace, maybe download a specific wallet, I think this is where you are losing people a lot. And maybe stop talking about jump and you can earn tons of money, but more like a jump and you will have a cool game. I think for me, that's what we need in the next few months, and a big IP, like a strong video game studio coming and building something even without talking about blockchain. It's a bit like what Off the Grid did in the past few months. Streamers played Off the Grid. They talked about Off the Grid, but they never talked about blockchain. And if they want to push, maybe that's the way to do.
Yeah, completely agreed. I think an abstracted approach is really what Web3 gaming is looking for. People coming on to play games, they aren't looking to come on and learn have too many steps to try to get involved in something. There's lots of technology coming now. I do believe a few years ago it was very difficult for Web3 games to achieve this level of user experience. However, now you have account abstraction that makes it very easy to sign on and participate as a user. Even if you're just a standard Web2 gamer or standard traditional internet user, you can come on and do it with very limited experience. On top of that, blockchain infrastructure is also becoming much more scalable, so it's becoming quicker. You have interoperability technology, which now makes it much more seamless to participate. You don't have to choose a single blockchain. You can choose any and, work and be involved with everything. So I think chain abstraction is also something that's very important. And most important of all as well, blockchains are just becoming overall a lot cheaper, a lot more efficient. Before, when games were just on Ethereum, playing was ridiculously expensive, but now, we have many layer 2s, gaming specific layer 2s like Ronin, Image, and Scale, which really help boost the overall efficiency and makes gaming a lot more accessible.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with that's the user experience currently in the Web3, in the blockchain space is actually kind of bad, like considering to do the most of the stuff in the Web3 space. In Gamblify, I would say from our perspective on the things, on the gamble itself, it's very tough, and we decided to go the way to make Web3 mostly a incentivized part to do not ruin the user experience itself, because the most important is the product itself. And there are, on the Bearer chain, for example, there are few competitors, but they're built on chain, and just to wait a few seconds, approve a transaction to make a bet, it's kind of lame. And actually there are no really good decision at the moment to completely, just make it seamless for the users. And we're actually interesting to do some kind of layer 2 to seamless gambling experience in the future, maybe in a year or some. It's kind of firstly, the building in the Web3, the smart contracts, it's like taking so much more time. And I mean, we are not ready for it. That's my take. So gaming should be more Web 2 for now.
Yeah, I actually agree with everything that was said before, and I think we should emphasize on two things that the Guillotine mentioned. The first one is the fact that onboarding on Web3 games should be frictionless, because right now we have a lot of games, and actually, I mean, that's how Web3 is done, but you have to onboard with your wallet, and sometimes when you disconnect, you have to reconnect your wallet, put your password, blah, blah, blah. Even for in-game transactions, sometimes they take you on another website. So all these friction points actually make us lose a lot of players actually in the Web3 space. So I don't want to even think about Web2. But even for Web2 people, if we want to create a bridge between Web3 and Web2, we have to make sure that they don't even have to create wallets. I believe that there are solutions that are currently explored on that. I talked to some people who talked about like custody wallets and stuff like that. But I think that's the way to go, especially when we want to make sure that Web3 is in the background and is seen as a tool to create value to both Web3 and Web2 gamers, instead of adding friction. And on the second point, I am also totally in line on the idea of not talking about, for example, NFTs and Web3 jargon, because I will give you an example. I told a friend to try the game out. They were willing to try it, and when they saw that it was Web3 and that there were NFTs and all the stuff, they told me, okay, no, I don't want to play the game because I don't like NFTs. When actually it's not about NFTs, it's about playing a good game. And I think these information dilutes the real value proposition of Web3 games, which is making getting rewards and, for example, making money in the end through games. And the last point is that Web3 games, as the Guillotine said, should focus on making good games that are truly enjoyable, that are challenging, and that people want to talk about when they are with friends. Because I see a lot of games that are just a way to get people on board and give them rewards without a proper gameplay or anything that is well thought. And I really believe that it damages the idea the people have about the Web3 gaming space.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just to sum it up, I totally agree with the points that were made. I think we heard everything from, abstract it away to make it easier to, keep it out entirely when talking about Web3 in gaming. And I think that I think there's a few reasons why these themes have emerged, and I don't know that all of them are necessarily things that we could have predicted, but I also think that they're not necessarily things that would have been ideal had we had another crack at it. I got involved in the space in 2017 and was working as a lawyer in the entertainment industry before that, and I guess for me, when I originally thought about how Web3 gaming would become a thing, it always presented in my mind as this consumer movement, right? Something that gamers were going to be excited about. Why? Because the value proposition of Web3 is all about consumer ownership. It's all about consumer rights. It's all about rights to digital assets and tangibilization of digital assets. The things we were doing, the concept of an NFT was nothing but good for gamers. And then we ruined it, right? We started doing all these token releases. We started fundraising with crazy, valuations and needing to justify extractive models. we had these PFP collections that were meaningless and just, didn't really do much, didn't add value, kind of just were another cartoon generated by a Fiverr artist, somewhere and then disappeared. NFTs, crypto gaming, all these things got a bad rap. And so, I've seen a lot of the tech. The tech is good. We've gotten to a point where you can abstract away gas fees, you could abstract away wallet creation, you can make, I've played Web3 games where, you get on and it's pretty seamless. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do now that you couldn't do before, especially, we were building our game in 2021 and none of that stuff existed. And it was really a challenge to build Web3 integration into games. And now it is a lot easier. I think some of what we need to do is really kind of scale back the narrative that we've created and that honestly the traditional gaming industry with a slight, hand on, a little bit of a thumb on the streamers has helped create this negative impression of what Web3 will do to gaming, because it is an extremely disruptive technology. And it's not necessarily disruptive in the sense that, it's going to all of a sudden, make games exponentially better because, now it's like AI, for example, right? Like AI is going to fundamentally change the types of gameplay experiences we experience. NFTs aren't like that. Blockchain isn't like that. Blockchain is focused on a few tangible value propositions currently within the gaming space, and they all are kind of boring back-end things that should be treated as such, right? Now, if you ask players, hey, you've been playing this game for a long time, do you want to be able to sell your items one day? A lot of them would say, yeah, but a lot of them wouldn't, right? Like you look at the backlash that even Web 2 games like Diablo 3 got about, the real money auction house, which was something that I was very excited about, but a lot of gamers weren't. I get it, right? Like some gamers want to grind a game. They want to, kill bosses over and over again to get some item, and then they're the only one that can have that item because they spent the time, right? Versus, you get these gold farms out in different areas of the world where time may be a little less costly, and now you can buy that item that you would have grinded for 10 hours, and you can buy it for $3, and all of a sudden it loses its value a little bit. So, there are issues beyond Web3 that are I think challenging to game developers who are, automatically thinking, hey, if I insert real money elements into my game, it's going to naturally be better. But as members of the Web3 gaming space, that's kind of the premise that we're starting from, right? Ownability of assets, all these different things. That's part of our mantra, I think, when we're developing these games. So we need to, be aware of that in the game design. Now, I think that, there's other use cases where Web3 may be a little more directly relevant, where people won't really care, like abstract away the whole thing and never talk about it. I think gambling's a good example. I think peer-to-peer bets are a good example. The ability to create prop betting, for example, or automatically like self-executing contracts with oracles that can confirm that the actual prop happened. There's lots of things we can do with these trustless automated systems to improve on problems that currently exist within the space. But at the end of the day, I think it was Orby's Breath who said at the end, in the middle of when he was talking, it's about creating value. If we're not using the technology to create value, none of the tokenomics, none of the speculation, none of the implementations, none of that really matters. I mean, great, we can create a fun game. That's great. We should create fun games. But when we're asking why include Web3, like what is Web3 contributing to this? Because fun games can be Web2 games too, right? I guess when we're thinking about the Web3 part of it, it's, well, what does Web3 actually enhance about this game? Is it item ownership? Is it the ability to transfer items? Okay, great. But then you're building a real money game. You got to think that that's going to be you can't, for example, a lot of people are like, oh, what if World of Warcraft, was a Web3 game? What if we could just get Blizzard to do it? It would break the game. because the game wasn't designed to be a Web3 game, right? So I think that a lot of times we have a somewhat naive view, and not, the people on this panel are all experts deeply in it, but I think your casual user foresees this mass adoption of Web3 because it's this like technology that everyone should just want. And I think I was part of that bucket in the early days, and have started to realize that until we can show game developers a tangible way where they can sustainably support business models, and that this technology adds value rather than taking away and simply disrupting those business models, we're not going to see mass adoption and all this of Web3. We need to find ways where, a major studio has a reason to do this, that, some underling can go to the board of directors and say, hey, or to the CEO and say, hey, I know it sounds crazy, but if we put Web3 in, we're going to expand, revenues on this game or players on this game by 25%, by 50%. And then when we start to think about like tokenomics and all these things that are pretty abstract right now, even for us, I think that's when you can actually start to talk about that, because at the end of the day, all a token really is, if it's sustainable, is a way of redistributing value. So if you can create more value through item ownership or tokens, you can then redistribute that value to your player base, to your community, to your stakeholders, to your investors, whatever it may be. So I guess, yeah, for me, I totally agree with all of us. I think the tech's, having been in this space without all this tech, the tech is way, 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 way better than it was before. I think now we've got to hit that next step. We've got to change the narrative. We've got to stop focusing on, the speculative nature of cryptocurrencies and NFTs, and just drive real value, like all the speakers have said.
Yeah, and I would mention a little point, which might not be such related to the gaming, but in gambling, it's like the major issue, the worst nightmare is the payment solutions, which is absolutely disgusting. In every geo you bringing your product, you need to bring like few of the payment solutions. It's all in the gray, zone, and there is a problem with that. And what crypto is actually good at for us, it's like the payments, because it's actually made gambling experience for people all over the world like much more convenient. For example, you absolutely no stake or shuffle, and there is only crypto payments, but mostly 90% of the players in there aren't crypto natives. Like they're just using crypto to make payments fast and easy. So, and that's like, I love that point.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, even when you talk about real money gaming, and the different regulations that major, studios need to comply with, blockchain potentially provides a solution where there's no kind of central custodial point, and I think that is also a very big important factor for games to consider, right? Is exactly what you're saying, the payment processing, but also anti-money laundering compliance, right? Those types of things, as soon as you insert custody, you get into, a lot more risk when you're talking about real money elements in games. And I think that the industry is too new right now still to really be thinking about these things. But I think that's what it's going to mature into, is this is an effective tool to address some of the concerns that regulators have, developed regulations to address. And I think that if you have self-custody of assets, right, if you have peer-to-peer, truly peer-to-peer transactions, or transactions where the player is only interacting with a decentralized smart contract, you then start to, eliminate the middleman, but you also eliminate the middleman's liability in certain cases, which allows games to do things that they weren't able to do before. And I guess that's what I mean when I say when we got to drive real value, these are the problems we have to solve. Gambling there's a ton, right? You have payment processing, but, peer-to-peer is also really big now, as you talk about prop betting and sports betting and some of this stuff, that's a really interesting market. You also have ZK proofs. For years, digital gambling has not been able to be trustless and provably fair. Now with blockchain, you can do provably fair gambling, which I think, maybe at, penny slot levels doesn't matter. But as you start to get much higher up the chain, and are dealing with bigger amounts, provable, fairness becomes a much more important thing. So I think there's lots of use cases. It's just maybe we're focusing on the wrong ones, or have been, focusing on the wrong ones during the last wave of blockchain games, which have just been kind of this unsustainable play to earn model that just doesn't work. And we've seen it not work over and over and over again.
Yeah, definitely agree. I think gaming's evolved a far way. I think when Web3 was first applied to gaming, there was a big focus just on revenue. I do think to a degree this did create some wrong ideas like play to earn, which we saw relied way too much on fluctuating asset prices. As a result, everything collapsed when markets took a downturn. But then I do think recently there were a few games like Play Cumbria, Dungeons of Fortune, which were that one's died out a little bit now. But Cumbria, people are still playing now for 2-3 weeks. I'm quite bullish. I like what they're doing. I do think it's a new, very interesting take on what Web3 gaming should be. But we have seen some really cool revenue opportunities present itself in Web3 gaming that are a bit more sustainable now as well. Completely agree, Satoshi. For example, Gina, we're working on automated tournaments, so it's a completely automated solution where users can pay an entry fee, and based on results directly from the game, they would be automatically paid out across different blockchains. So this is something that we'd like to replace standard esport mechanisms and really provide the fundamental infrastructure to allow for that. But all in all, I do think that, like a lot of Web3 games, anyway, in the past, did approach revenue in the wrong way. But now I do think it's starting to become a lot more stable.
Yeah, 100%. And just for the sake of getting to the other questions, I'll shoot it back to Spencer so he could take us in. But that was a great discussion.
Awesome. I was just about to interrupt you, so glad you said that. All right, first individual question is going to go to the guillotine. So in what ways do you think the integration of Web3 can improve the player experience for real-time strategy games?
I would say my answer is not only about the real-time strategy games. I think it's kind of same for everyone. The main good point about Web3 for a player, I think it's ownership, freedom to do anything you want with things you own. And I would say it will be to own the success of the project you're into. I think it's the two main things. It's like you're playing with stuff you already own, so you are the owner of the asset. You can do whatever you want. You can transfer to a friend. You can sell it if you want. If you want to try new things, you can directly buy on the marketplace without waiting anything. But I think at the same time, having assets or having tokens of a project should kind of open the right for you as a player to get a certain amount of revenues the project is doing. Because for me, that's what Web3 is mainly. Is like, okay, of course, owning assets is really important. It's maybe one of the main thing, especially in Web3 gaming. But I think it's also important to think that everything you're buying in a game, like when they're doing a minting, when you buy tokens on pre-round or when you're doing tokens on the market, you you kind of own a part of the project. I don't say that you players have like 100% of all project revenues, but I think some parts, it can be a few percent, it can be 10%, 15%, 20%. I don't know the number, but I think in some parts, of course, you're earning because you're earning tokens of the project, which cost nothing to the project. But at the same time, I think it's important that all revenue generated because people bought $5 by credit card to get a skin or X dollars to get something else in the game. I think some part of it has to go back into players. And if you forget that, I think you forget one of the main stuff about Web3. So I won't say that in real-time strategy game, there is really something specific about Web3 because mainly you just buy units. Like in our project, you buy units, you buy some skins because you want to have cool skins on your unit. You can gamble a bit because we have some chest kind of gacha system where you open chest and you can get some assets. And you also have another collection called Lords, which is like if you get a lord, you have a castle inside the game where you can level up your unit, when you can get some unit for free every week. So yeah, it's important. The ownership is important. I think it's the main thing about Web3, but also be part of the people who receive revenue from the project is the other things for me, which is really important.
Yeah, totally. And I couldn't agree more. I think, one of the points you made there about like just kind of what we were talking about before with value redistribution, and whether that value is revenue or some other, more amorphous thing, you can use tokens to redistribute that value. I think, unfortunately, the current regulatory climate, or at least the regulatory climate for the last couple of years, has been one where you can do that, but you have to, dance around it. You can't be direct about that value proposition because, there's regulations that say, well, if you do that, then it's a security and yada, 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 yada. So I do think that, we're getting more clarity and more, regulatory guidance that's going to allow for business models, exactly like you were saying, where players, especially for indie games, aren't just players. They are stakeholders who can, by being early, by promoting a game, by streaming about a game, they can earn rewards within the game, either represented by a token or a skin or whatever it is. And then we as game developers can more directly use those tokens as a way of, as value is created, as the game grows, redistributing that value to the users in a more meaningful way, not necessarily through a, through a skin or some other cool badge that they get within the game, but through real value distribution where we, we're doing buybacks on the tokens, or we're doing airdrops of more tokens to the tokens, whatever it is, or however we want to use, these tokens as a proxy for value distribution. I think that there is a value to people playing your game and posting about it and doing these different things. And so the ability to kind of then take that value and return it back 100%. If we're not thinking about those things, I think we're doing it wrong. But I also think that regulators thus far have made it difficult to do those things directly.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Moving us on to the next individual question, which is going to go to Jaden. So how do you think using a modular blockchain infrastructure improves performance and user experience for Web3 apps?
Sorry, could you repeat the first half of the question again? I missed that.
Yeah, for sure. So how do you think using a modular blockchain infrastructure improves performance and user experience for Web3, apps, games, etc.?
Okay. Well, interesting question. First of all, it makes it a lot easier for game developers. So, if they want to change anything, it makes it a lot easier to adapt and, add and apply right on top of it. I do think that, like I mentioned earlier, interoperability is very important too. So, for the EVM code base, for example, it makes it a lot easier to work with other EVM-based dApps and have a lot more cross-chain activity there. So
As a user, for example, it just makes it a lot more seamless to go from one to another, and overall just provides a lot more access to users and liquidity. Nobody likes a market where there's not much activity, otherwise things would just be boring. So when things are connected with each other, you have different users coming across, liquidity moving, there's overall a lot more action, then it just becomes a lot more interesting. For example, a game which is fully agnostic and a lot more accessible, for example, would be generally a lot more fun, especially if it's multiplayer, given that it is able to be accessible from anywhere.
Yeah, 100%. I think something you said before and just kind of, repeated, is this idea of chain agnosticism and how I think one of the biggest developments in the last, year and a half, for better or for worse, is that VCs have been funding a ton of new gaming chains. So we've seen, 10,000 gaming chains pop up, all with their grant programs and, just trying to, incentivize developers to come build on them. And that's led to an incredible amount of fragmentation within the space. And so now it's almost become necessary to develop solutions to now bring all those chains together and make things, more efficient. And I think that, like doing so, especially in a modular way where, game developers who have built a game for 3 years don't have to adopt an entire ecosystem, but they can adopt the aspects that make sense for their project. I think it makes a ton of sense.
Awesome. Next individual question is going to go to Rayos. So with over 1.5 million unique cards in Orbeez Breath, what are the key challenges in ensuring the game remains accessible and engaging for both new and experienced players while still maintaining meaningful balance and a sense of collectability?
Thanks for the question. So actually, having this huge number of cards isn't an issue per se, because the core of the gameplay is focused on specific card effects. So you have 6 boosts and 6 curses, and these are the main effects that are composing the whole gameplay. And on top of that, for each card, you have 5 different spells. So having different cards is more of a way to enable players to try different strategies out, because these 1.5 million unique cards are actually only about card combination. So, for example, passive skill and active skill combinations. And they don't even consider the different looks of the cards. So you can have like way more specific characters. And the reason behind that was that we wanted everyone to be able to have their own heroes, and just to, like kind of feel like they don't see the same cards all over again, but everyone has the opportunity to build a unique team. So we don't really have this idea of like challenging onboarding for players, because I really think that the moment you understand how the gameplay works, and it's actually pretty straightforward, even though it's kind of like it's a mix of complexity and simplicity, but it's pretty well done. So shout out to our game designer. And it's kind of easy to enter into the game just by doing the tutorial and then getting into it. And for the sense of collectability, I would say that you are more focused on your card stats and also the look of your card, of course. But the stats of your cards are pretty important for the PvP games that you're doing. So that's more on that people will focus from my perspective. And in that idea, since all the cards have also different unique stats, it will be pretty easy, considering the gameplay, to realize whether a card is pretty rare or not, and how useful it is for your strategy. So overall, I would say that it's more of a strength than a drawback. But looking forward to getting the players' opinion on that, of course.
Beautiful. Thank you. And then just in the interest of time, we just want to get to our last question here before we close out and make sure we have time to choose our giveaway winners. So final question to Slot.win, to Sergio. So what are the challenges and benefits of incorporating cryptocurrency transactions into online gambling platforms, particularly concerning user trust and regulatory compliance?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think I have covered a bit of that topic. But yeah, so I would start with that the crypto itself, I think it's the real globalization in many ways. And so in the past, before crypto existed, basically products in iGaming were built to specific geo, and if you would like to expand, you either will buy some local licensing and as I mentioned, the providers, payment solutions, that's like wasn't really an option. So basically, if you was building a casino, you were building it specifically for few countries, and the crypto, it's a game changer because it actually it fixes all issues of traditional payment infrastructure. I mean, as I mentioned, what a headache to work with the payment solutions with the fiat. It's all gone, and actually I couldn't even find some problems with that. So we actually built custom payment, like the processing in crypto for our product, didn't even use some ready solutions. It took us maybe 2 or 3 months at total, and that's not even like kind of a problem, even considering you can like pay 2 or 3% and still having this processing greatly working and so on. So yeah, and about regulatory compliance, what can I say? Yeah, it's pretty tough question and topic, and the most problems coming with the high rollers. I think there's just no way you could process some $10,000 payments with traditional banks in some, geo where your payment solution isn't really verified and official, and it couldn't be in our zone, because if you are some just Web2 gaming or even game, you can like really make it official, but in gambling it's no way to make it fully great and cool. So that's why crypto really made it very good and smooth to the high rollers, to the basic players, and really onboarded millions of people into the crypto. Because Stake, for example, right now is the most popular site, the gambling site in the world, as I know. And considering it have only crypto, by the way, which will change soon, so they're actively looking to provide payments with fiat as well. Actually, we will see, I think this year this happen, but anyway, they're very cool doing crypto transaction and onboarding so many people in the industry we are building in. So yeah, I think that's it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your response on that one. We just got a few minutes left here, so I'm going to announce our giveaway winners and then pass it back to Nick to close us out. So the giveaway winner this week for 5 Satoshi crystals within the Satoshiverse is the Identity, or identity_vid. Congratulations. In order to claim your Satoshi crystals, all you have to do is go to game.legions2029.com, create a free account, and then send us a DM. And then we'll make sure to drop those into your account. And then the giveaway winner for Orbeez Breath is it is Moa. I'm Moa42. Congratulations. You guys connect with Orbeez Breath, and they'll be able to get you your prize. Nick, I'll pass it back to you to close this out.
All right. Thanks, Spencer. Yeah, no, that was a great spaces. Even having a bunch of gaming projects and gaming infrastructure projects on here, we still got into so many different topics. And that's typically, just a sign of as builders in the Web3 space, we're all kind of facing some of the same challenges in different ways. So really cool to talk to all of you and who are, each experts in your own craft. I really, appreciate you taking the time out of your days. To everyone who joined and listened live, thank you so much. We do this every week on Tuesdays at the same time. So we will be back next week. Follow the Hideout account for all the after and before information about the panel. And definitely check out all the speakers and what they are building. Some really cool stuff here. If you're interested in the Satoshiverse, check us out. Please also follow the other speakers. Everyone is taking time to be here. So really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you. And I'm going to wait about 30 seconds because there's a delay, and then I will end the space. But thank you all so much for joining, and I hope I can have you back on soon.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you,
Thank you,
for the
everyone.
invite. Thank you very much.
Great discussion.
Thank you, guys. See you.